How do you manage your clients' expectations and set boundaries to protect your time as a small business owner? After all, every client thinks that everything they send your way is urgent and it needs to be taken care of right away. But oftentimes that's not the case. In this video, I'm going to cover my top tips to manage your clients' expectations and to protect yourself so that you don't get caught up just working for your clients and never being able to put time into your business. Hey everyone, Riley here with Small Business Unfiltered. If you're new to the channel, welcome. So happy to see you. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so every time that I publish a video, which is every Wednesday and every Sunday, you get notified that it's live. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Before we jump into today's video, I have some exciting news. I'm going to be launching a newsletter, a weekly newsletter that will be covering everything that I do at Hardin Digital and Design. The newsletter is going to dive into specifically what's happening behind the scenes at Hardin Digital and Design. So come to the YouTube channel for tips that can be applied to you. Subscribe to the newsletter by clicking below for more behind the scenes look at how I manage and how I run Hardin Digital and Design. So let's go ahead and jump into today's video talking about managing client expectations. This is something that over the past 4.5 years of owning my small digital marketing agency that I've gone through several different experiences of clients being too needy or thinking that the work that they're sending my way needs to be done immediately within the next 30 minutes or their business is going to fall apart. Um, it's easy to understand, right? Everything to them is urgent because they're running their business. But for you as a small business owner, you know what's best for your schedule and how you can fit that work in. So, being a small marketing agency, we deal with clients who send us stuff about their websites or content to post on social media. So it might be a little different than your specific industry or your business, but the tips that I'm about to share can be applied to all different industries, no matter what you're in. So, the first thing that I've found is really important when dealing with, I guess, setting boundaries to manage your time effectively is open communication up front is key. When I sign on a new client, I'm working with another business. I always set my expectations or give them my expectations of turnaround time on projects from the very beginning. Whether it's a website build where we say, hey, it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks to get this website built, 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it may be. That's more of the bigger project based. But when working with social media clients, we often have a lot of clients send us information, right? They'll something happened at the office, we weren't there to capture it, or they just sent out a new blog, whatever it may be. I tell them upfront from before we even actually sign the contract. Like, this is the one of the things I talk about in our consultation is the turnaround time for getting stuff posted. I always guarantee 48 hours unless something else comes up. But within 48 hours, we'll either get it scheduled, we'll get it posted on the website, or we'll get it posted right away. It doesn't always take 48 hours, but that's just kind of the buffer that I give myself and that we give our clients so that if they send something at 4 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, I don't feel like I have to turn it around Friday morning or Thursday evening when I'm at home. So I tell them up front 48 hours. That's just the general expectation. Does it always take 48 hours? No. Sometimes clients will catch me when I just happen to be in my email. I've cleared out all of my other to do items on my list, and their email pops up, and I'm sitting at my computer and I can knock it out real quick. Great. But that's not the expectation that I set with them. I am clear up front that, hey, I'm not always going to be able to get to your email or your post right away, but the realistic expectation is that within 2 days we can either get it scheduled because a lot of times we schedule out content in advance and we don't always shift things around. So hey, the rest of the week is scheduled out, but we'll get it posted Monday morning. Right. And I set that with them. And along the lines of open communication is just also being responsive to email. I'm going to talk about email here in a little bit as well, but at least giving them a heads up. Hey, I received this. I'll get it scheduled. Here's the expectation of when we plan on posting it. Right. So just the more upfront, the more you can be communicative with the client from the very beginning, the better off you'll be. So let's talk about email. This is something that I not the always the best at, whether it's responding right away. Like I just said, I if they catch me at the right time, I'll respond right away. Or sometimes I let things go unread for too long. But there's a happy medium that you should find where if a client sends you an email, you don't need to respond right away. If it pops up in your inbox and you see the notification while you're working on a different project or doing something else not related to that client, it's okay to not stop everything that you're doing and not read that email. Perfectly fine. If you set that expectation that we just talked about up front of, hey, I'm not going to drop everything that I'm doing every single time you call me, text me, shoot me an email. So ignoring your emails, I don't want to say just ignore them and never respond. Obviously, that's a bad way to run your business, but you know, don't feel the need to get back to your clients ASAP. If you can, great. Like speedy responses is always something that will make your clients happier, your customers happier. But you need to be realistic with them and say, I'm not always going to be able to respond to your emails within 30 minutes or get things done within 30 minutes. It's all great whenever you're just starting out and you have a little more time, but like for me, for instance, now I guess I started that way. Uh, I was responding to every single email all the time as soon as it popped up, no matter if I was in the middle of working on something else or not. I started out that way when I first started working with our clients, but now I've transitioned to letting those emails sit in my inbox for an hour or two or until later this evening when I'm at home and have a little bit more time freed up. So it's just one thing that don't always feel the need to respond right away because that's when you start getting into this crazy hectic schedule and you don't ever actually accomplish anything because you're always caught up in your email. You get distracted, you get sidetracked. The thing that you were working on that was important for another client, well, now that got pushed back or delayed, even though it really needed to be taken care of first, right? So you don't want to fall into that slippery slope of, oh, look, a new email. I'm going to put everything aside and respond to that and do that one first. You're never going to have control of your time. You're always just going to be running in circles as a small business owner, and that's not a great effective way to run your business. My next and final point about managing client expectations is one that I admittedly could do a lot better at, but it's something that I think if you can master and you can get it down, your schedule is going to be a lot easier to manage and take care of, especially when it comes to dealing with clients wanting to meet or sending you stuff at all hours of the day. So, my next thing is blocking out time on your schedule. You don't have to get into the super nitty gritty of every 30 minutes or every 15 minutes. This is what my schedule looks like for the day. What I mean more so is designating specific times for meetings or designating specific times for work. Everything is work, but specific times to work on projects or creating content or responding to emails, right? The more that you can block out these specific times in your calendar, the easier it's going to be for you to manage both your schedule and manage your client expectations. So, this is something I've tweeted about and posted on LinkedIn. And there's another gentleman that runs a similar type business that we've connected and never actually met in person, but he owns a similar business, a small marketing agency out of Indianapolis. And he specifically tries to block out Monday and Friday of every week where his HubSpot calendar, whatever he uses, he doesn't even have availability for people to book meetings with him on Monday and Friday. That guarantees that he's not going to have to deal with meetings that pop up, people trying to schedule and ask and interrupt his flow, so that he knows Mondays and Fridays he has a better chance of just knocking out the work that he needs to do, which is awesome. I can't do that as much, I don't think, or I haven't set that expectation with myself and with my clients as well as he has. Um, because this week, for instance, when I'm recording this, I've had a meeting on every single day of the week. I try not to do Mondays. Monday, we have an internal meeting here at Hardin Digital and Design. That's fine. I try not to do other meetings, but it tends to be that one of our biggest clients likes to have meetings on Mondays, and you know they're they're in the government, so their schedules are a little more structured and timed out, and so I kind of feel obligated that I shouldn't push back and that I should attend those because technically my schedule is more free, but um that's just, again, this is something that me personally I could do a lot better at, and I know that, and I've tried. But if you can really get this down to where, okay, Monday and Friday, no meetings at all. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, meetings, but just from 12 to 4 in the afternoon, or 9 to 1 in the morning, right? And then you block out, okay, if we're just doing meetings from 1 to 5 in the afternoon, I know that 8 to 12 is work time. You can even split it up and say half of that's email, half of that's work. So just try and figure out a workflow that works best for you by blocking out those specific time segments. Again, you don't have to get super picky and like into the weeds about it, right? You don't have to say, work on this client for 30 minutes, whatever it may be, but just kind of start with bigger time blocks and then start narrowing it down from there if you're finding that it works for you. Moral of the story, all these points kind of tie back to just being open with your clients. Have that open communication from the very beginning. If you're able to do that, you're going to be set up for success, right? If you don't tell them, hey, it's going to be 48 hours potentially, or website builds, it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it may be. If you're not setting those expectations up front before you even start working with them, sign on with clients or customers, then you're going to struggle to protect your time as a small business owner. It's definitely something that I started out and I wasn't, it's, I learned it along the way in the past 4.5 years, is that you really do have to be upfront and managing those expectations. Do I fall into the trap sometimes where I'm not great about it? Yes. But if there's one area that I know I could work on, it's definitely the open communication back and forth with clients, about, these are my expectations. This is what you should expect out of us in terms of getting things turned around for you. One example, kind of talking about, the client always thinks that everything they're sending our way is super time sensitive, it's urgent. One example of that I've dealt with twice now this summer is, a we built a website for a company, and they like to post what put on their website when their offices are going to be closed. And that's great, awesome. People come to their website a lot to pay their bills online, so it makes sense that they want to post about office closings on their website, right? We just add a little header banner at the top of the website that says we will be closed on whatever date. Great. My issue is that they send it over 2 months in advance and expect it to be posted right away. Well, when, like, for example, it was the first or second week of May, and they sent over something that said, hey, can you put this on the website? We're going to be closed on July 4th. It's the second week of May. It doesn't need to be posted right away. And in this specific instance, I was in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, halfway across the world, got an email, got a phone call within probably an hour of each other, got a follow-up email a couple day I think it was a day later. And I set an out of office, another way to manage client expectations if you're taking a vacation. I normally don't set an out of office because even when I'm on vacation in the States, whether it's going to Florida or Minnesota to visit family, I always have my computer. I'm always working. But this one, I didn't take my computer. Oh, I did, but I was not planning on working at all because I was overseas, out of country. So I set an out of email and I got the first email and the initial phone call. And then they also reached out to Kaylee because that's who I said, if this is an emergency or super time sensitive, email Kaylee and she can take care of it. They also proceeded to email Kaylee and bug her about it when we're 2 months out still, right? This is just something that doesn't need to be posted 2 months in advance saying that your office is going to be closed. One, because a lot of people pay their bills online, they're not actually coming into the office. And two, people don't really pay attention to that stuff 2 months out. People don't even worry about stuff a week in advance, let alone 2 months in advance. So, um, and just a follow up story about this specific client. One, this is another thing that bugs me. Now I'm kind of getting on a tangent, but they're also not a paying client. Makes a big difference in my eyes. Is we built the website, great, they paid for that. They aren't paying for any additional updates, upkeep, anything with the website because there's not a whole lot to be done once we built the website, and that's what we agreed upon. But now it's kind of these situations come up and they demand that it's done right away. And it's like, great, I will get to it when I can. If it's an emergency saying, the office burnt down or something crazy like that, yes, I understand that's an emergency. But posting about your office closing 2 months from now when you're not paying me to do the work, I'm not as inclined. One, I was overseas in this scenario, and two, Kaylee didn't have access to this specific website, so it just wasn't going to be done until I got back. Bottom line. But fast forward a couple months, it's now the end of July, and they sent another email. Hey, we're going to be closed for Labor Day in September. Awesome. Got an email Monday morning, 8 o'clock. I hadn't responded yet. Monday morning, 9 o'clock. Got a phone call, left a voicemail. Tuesday morning, another email, another voicemail. At this point, this is bad for me to admit, but I was irritated because it was the exact same scenario that happened 2 months ago. And I knew that it's not, I read the email, yes, but I just couldn't get to logging into the back end of WordPress and making these changes. Like it's not just a simple 30-second update. And so I was irritated and I let it go. Well, I continued to get a phone call and an email for the next 2 days as well before I finally took care of it. Best business practice? No, absolutely not. But that's just one of those scenarios that, like, just because the client thinks that, hey, this is urgent, needs to get done right away, it doesn't always fit into your schedule as a business owner. And you just have to be able to make those decisions and manage your time to the best of your ability based on what you know is best for you and the client. If this was, again, hey, we're going to be closed August 1st, okay, different story. Less than a week out or a week and a half out. I'll make those exceptions. But 2 months for a website header, not so much. So, again, it's just having that communication. Should I have probably answered the phone call on the second day? Yeah, but I was irritated and that happens, right? Small business unfiltered. I'm giving you an unfiltered look into my brain when I get irritated about clients' expectations. So, to wrap things up today, really just try and set those expectations from the very beginning. Have that open communication. Don't feel the need to respond to things right away. If you're busy working on something else, you'll fall into this endless trap of never getting the actual work that you need to get done accomplished. So, if you can follow those two main points, you'll start seeing improvement in your time management, your schedule, and hopefully your clients will start to recognize that this is what I can expect when dealing with your business. So, if you've had issues with dealing with a client like this before, let me know what your experience was like down in the comments. I always enjoy hearing different stories from other business owners on the different topics that I cover here on the channel. So let me know, drop a comment down below, and I'd love to connect. So, again, if you're new to the channel and you aren't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and definitely check out the newsletter. Going to be launching it soon, but you can go ahead and get signed up in the link in the show notes. So, until next time, take care.